Welcome back to Success with Steven. My name is Steven Smith. On this channel, we discuss all things financial literacy. Today, we're talking about the easy way for you to get approved for $15,000 in business credit cards, and you can do this without a business. Most people don't apply for business credit cards because they think business credit cards are only for established businesses. They think that you need to have a huge company or payroll, invoices, and employees before you can actually get approved by a bank. However, business credit cards are often designed for regular people as well. And that could be you making money on the weekends. That could be you selling products online. That could even be you providing a service and getting paid with Cash App, Zelle, or Venmo. What I've learned in my journey is that business credit cards are not just for massive companies or corporations. They are often built for normal people who are just making money in normal ways and want to have access to better tools, better limits, better leverage, and better separation between business and personal credit. And I want to say this from a real place because I know some people talk about like business credit and credit cards as if they always had it figured out. And that's not me. I'm speaking to you from a place where I had to fix my own credit and I had to actually make my own company from the ground up. So all of this is from personal experience and not just theory. And I've documented this entire process on this YouTube channel. I had a 426 credit score back in October of 2022, and that's not a little rough around the edges. I mean, that is completely terrible. And I have just been talking about my experience, what I've lived through, and I've shown you going from a 426 credit score to repairing my credit within 2 years to now sitting at around like an 822 credit score currently to date. So in this video, I'm going to break down what qualifies as a business, why business credit cards can be so powerful when used responsibly, and how to apply for them the right way so you don't sabotage yourself before you even start. I'm also going to show you how to apply and what information you need to provide on the application for approval. So without further ado, let's get right into the video. A lot of people are running businesses and they don't even realize it. At the stage that we are in our economy, you'll be hard pressed to find people who just have a regular job and that's the only income that they're producing right now. So if you do have a regular job, you're getting W-2 employee income. Now that part is simple. But if you're making money outside of that job in any consistent or even occasional way, there's a very good chance that what you're doing counts as business activity. And I'll give you some very simple examples. If you cut hair for people and they pay you, that's business activity. If you mow lawns and somebody cash apps you every Saturday, that's business activity. If you sell used electronics online, that still counts as business activity. If you flip furniture, sell digital products, create content just like this, even if you create content in short form or you do freelance work, take photos, edit videos, sell candles, you offer coachings or you're tutoring, or you pick up a side job for extra money, all of that will count as business activity. And that money most likely falls into the category of 1099 income, which is earned by independent contractors. Now, later on, we'll go over a brief discussion of the tax implications, but I want to keep it simple right now. You don't need to have a business that is huge. You don't need to have a formal, fully structured machine before you actually can operate as a business. And banks realize this. They understand that people have more flexible types of income. Even if you don't have an LLC or a corporation yet, you can still operate as a sole proprietor, which is one of the most common and accessible business structures in America. A sole proprietor is simply a person doing business without forming a separate legal entity. So just to be clear, an independent contractor is usually a sole proprietor by default. While independent contractor describes the business relationship between a client and working on a contract basis, sole proprietor describes the legal structure of the person and that it's not incorporated. So basically that means if you're making money on your own, under your own name, and you have not officially set up an LLC or a corporation, you are likely operating as a sole proprietorship. And with that said, you don't need a formal company in place to begin applying for business credit. Now, instead of saying I don't have a business, what you should start asking is how do I present what I'm already doing the right way? Now, before we discuss which business credit cards are available for sole props, I want to cover the basic business structures, and let's start with, of course, a sole proprietorship. Now, a sole proprietorship is the most basic structure. There is no legal separation between you and your business. If you're making money under your own name, you have not formed anything official. You are generally operating this way. So many people, once again, will fall under this category by default. And this is why sole proprietorship is such an important concept for people trying to get started with business credit cards. A lot of applications actually have a section for sole proprietors, which tells you right there that issuers understand that many businesses will start off small. This is the easy entry point for many people. Then you have the LLC, which stands for limited liability company. The main difference between a sole proprietorship and an LLC is that the LLC creates a legal separation between you and your business. This structure becomes its own legal entity, and it can help with liability protection, and it often makes the business feel more formal and organized. It can also make certain banking and vendor relationships a lot cleaner, and in many cases, people move from a sole proprietor to an LLC once they want a more official structure, more protection, or create a cleaner separation between personal and business operations. I actually have a video where I talk about sole proprietorships versus LLCs. I'm gonna link that video right here. In that video, I go a lot more in depth if you do wanna know the difference between the two. That way you can decide which one you would like to have. Then you have corporations. Now, a C corporation is a separate taxable entity, which basically means that the corporation files its own tax returns and pays taxes at the corporate level. Now, if profits are distributed as dividends, that can create double taxation. This structure is more complex and generally not where most beginners need to start. It can make sense in, let's say, a very specific situation, but for the average person trying to get their first business credit cards, this is usually not step one. An S corporation is a corporation that elects pass-through taxation, so income, losses, deductions, and credits can pass through to shareholders. Again, this is more advanced, and it is typically relevant once your business grows and your tax strategy becomes more important. But for most people watching this video, the real conversation will be between a sole proprietor and, of course, an LLC. And I don't want people to get overwhelmed by trying to understand every business structure before they ever apply for a credit card. Sometimes the person who gets ahead is not the one that understands every possible technical detail. Sometimes it's the person who understands enough to move forward properly. So understand where you are, understand what structure you fall under, and don't let the complexity stop you from taking the first step. All right, so those business structures are a little important when we actually go through the credit card applications. I just want you guys to know exactly what those mean. Now let's talk about why business credit cards actually matter so much. One of the most important things I want people to understand is that many business credit cards do not report to your personal credit. I know if you've been a long-time subscriber of mine, you probably already know this, but if you're new, that may be some enlightening information. Now, normally personal credit cards will actually go to your personal credit report. That would mean if you carry a balance or something like that, it can affect utilization and also have a negative impact on your credit score. However, with business credit cards, utilization will not show up. Now, I do want to give you a huge disclaimer because some business credit cards do report to your personal credit. You always need to do your research on the issuer and the product before applying. For example, Capital One has a few business credit cards that do report to your personal credit. Some issuers may have them as well. However, most business credit cards do not report to your personal credit, and again, that's one of the main reasons that people are interested in them. Now, for a simple example, let's say you have a personal credit card with a $10,000 limit and you use $5,000 of that limit. That will be a 50% utilization ratio. On the personal side, that will absolutely drag down your score. I mean, it will just completely kill it. Now, let's say you put that on a business credit card. Because you put that on a business credit card, it'll still have the same utilization, but it will not report to your personal credit. Now you can make that purchase, use the leverage, maybe generate revenue if it's for business purposes, and avoid the same kind of visible utilization that would hit the personal side. Now, that is powerful, and a lot of people have found that there's an advantage to doing that. And the more you understand about business credit cards, you start seeing them as a strategic layer and the advantages that they have. Next thing is that business credit cards often come with stronger limits than personal credit cards because lenders understand that businesses need more purchasing power. They have inventory, supplies, ads, equipment, payroll, reoccurring software subscriptions, fuel costs, shipping, travel costs, etc. Businesses have to spend a lot more in order to operate. So with that, you naturally see higher limits given to business credit cards. And my favorite advantage most of all is that a lot of these credit cards come with 0% APR offers, meaning that you can make necessary purchases and pay them off over time without paying interest for a promotional period. Now that can be very useful when you have to make a very large expense, especially when you're using that expense to make money down the line. Now there are a lot more advantages to business credit cards, but for someone who's watching this, if you're starting, for the first time, then those are just like probably the most obvious ones. And I have an entire business credit playlist that you guys can check out. I go into way more complex strategies and details and ways to leverage credit. So if you're interested in that, check out that playlist, and I promise you'll learn a lot and you'll get a lot of value from that. Now, before we go to the credit cards, we have to talk about a personal guarantee, and I won't spend too much time on that. A personal guarantee, often called a PG, just means that you are personally agreeing to be responsible for the debt if your business does not pay it. In other words, the lender is saying, we are willing to extend you this credit, but if this goes bad, we want recourse against you as an individual. And this is basically normal. Like for anyone that has a personal credit card, it's the exact same thing. Like if you were to default on that card, obviously it will go to your credit report. Same thing happens with business credit cards. It is no different. They want accountability. So if you're using credit responsibly, you're making payments on time, then the personal guarantee should not be a problem. As we go through these credit cards, I'll talk about some of the qualifications, but I'll also have dedicated videos to each and every one of the cards that we're going to be looking at on this list today. Now, with that said, let's get into the 4 business credit cards that you can apply for as a sole proprietor. All right, currently we are on creditcards.chase.com. Now, the cool thing is you can technically apply for all of these cards. I'm only going to pick one, but you can actually apply for all of these. The one that I think is, let's say, most beginner friendly for people that are watching this video is the Inc. Business Cash Card. I think this is one of the best cards that you can get as a sole proprietor who's just trying to get their feet wet with business credit. Now, with this card, you can earn $750 bonus cash back after you spend $6,000 on purchases in the first 3 months after account opening. You also earn 5% cash back in select business categories. For me personally, I have this card. When I first got it, I was actually able to spend $6,000, but what I did was spend $6,000 in the 5% category, and I was able to actually make money from this card. I got the $750 plus 5% back of $6,000. So I think it was somewhere around like $1,050 in total that I got back from this card. And you could take that money, you could put it in like a Roth IRA, you can use it for business expenses, but 5% back, and I believe one of the categories was like your phone bill or cable or something like that. Those are expenses that you would have had anyway, and of course it's 0% APR, so you don't have to pay interest on it. So technically you can pay that entire amount on this card and then just pay it for the rest of the year and actually make money from it. That's just like a very simple basic example of something that I was doing when I first got this card. Now let's actually go to the application and go over those details. All right, let's get started on your Chase Inc. Business Cash Card application. And that's some of the things I was talking about. 5% cash back on your first $25,000 spent in combined purchases at office supply stores and cellular phone, landline, internet cable. There you go. 2% cash back on your first $25,000 for gas stations, restaurants, and then 1% back on everything else. And again, 0% APR for 12 months. Now, when you're looking at the authorized officer title info, you're going to be the owner. Again, you're the sole proprietor. You are the owner of this company. You would then enter your first name, your last name. You would then enter your date of birth. You would enter your social, your mother's maiden name, and yes, it would be your full social here. You would enter your current residential address that you're using because that's going to be your business address. You'd also enter your city, your zip code, your email, and your phone number. You would also enter your financial info. Now, a lot of people get a little bit confused when it comes here. Now, your total gross annual income is what you earn or reasonably expect to earn. If you're 21 or older and you regularly use your income from others to pay bills, you can include that too. So what they're saying right here is that if you're 21 and let's say you live with your parents and they pay a majority of your bills, you can use their income on here too. You can also use a projection of how much you expect to earn. So if you make like $500, then you can put that, times 12. That would be your projection of how much you might make. And then when it comes to your actual business structure, this is where you would select a sole proprietorship. So remember, we already talked about what a corporation is, what a limited liability company is. A partnership is very similar to an LLC, and then nonprofit, of course, is a nonprofit organization. It's a different type of business, but what you would select is sole proprietorship. You would then enter your business legal name. That is your name. You would then enter the desired name, which again would just be your first and last name. And do you use your business with any other name? Obviously you don't. Employees would be one, all right, because it's just you and you don't have to enter your taxpayer identification number. You don't have that, right? An EIN is something that you would use if you incorporated your business. Sole proprietor, you use your social, you enter that again, and then we'll send the card to your business's physical address. That's going to be the same as your personal address. You would select yes. Your business contact would be the exact same as your regular contact. You would then enter the date you established whenever you began giving these services, whatever that it is that you were doing. You would then enter again annual business income. That's the projection of how much you expect to make. You would then enter your estimated monthly spend. How much do you reasonably expect to spend on this card? You would enter that here, and then your business classification, whatever you do for a service. So if it's something like hair, then I would put like something like beauty salon. Like there'll be like sometimes options pop up, but you can just enter whatever it is that you're doing. Hairstylist. Employee cards. Do you need multiple cards? If not, don't add them. You can keep the paperless statement option on there. You would then read the pricing and terms. And then if we scroll all the way down, we should have the submit option. All right. So that is a quick run through of how you would fill out this application as a sole proprietor. All right. Currently, we are on AmericanExpress.com. You can actually apply for really any business credit card when it comes to American Express. But if we're talking about a beginner, and a lot of these credit cards I already have videos on, you guys can look at my business credit catalog. I have a lot of videos on almost all of these cards. But for today, let's just stick with this one right here, the Blue Business Cash Card. There is no annual fee for this card. You get 2% cash back on all eligible purchases up to $50,000. You can earn a statement credit of $250, and there is a 0% intro APR, right? So if you spend $3,000 on this card, then you can earn $250 back. You have 12 months that you won't have to pay any interest, and you can just make the minimum payment or split up the total amount into like 12 payments, right? Now, if we go to apply now, application is very, very simple. And here's one great thing about American Express. You can actually fill out this application. They will let you know if you're approved without taking a hard inquiry. Now, if you are approved, then you will have a hard inquiry. However, if you're already in the American Express ecosystem, you can apply for this card with no hard inquiry. It would be a complete soft pull. Not to mention, if you wanted to, you could apply for one revolving American Express card and also apply for 2 charge cards. Now, you can do that, I would say, within the same 2-week time frame if you wanted multiple cards. But again, if you're a beginner, this is a great place to start. The Blue Business Cash Card is a very good, easy standard card, right? Now, you would enter, again, legal business name, first name, last name. That's what you would enter. You would then enter your business address for your industry type and your phone number, personal number. For your industry type, you would enter exactly whatever you fall under. It can just be other, of course, if you can't find your industry. And then your structure, you're going to be a sole proprietor. How many years have you been in business? Same thing. Even if it's less than 1 year, that's completely fine. Sole prop will always be just one employee. Again, gross business revenue will be what you project to make. And how much do you think that you're going to spend on this card? Just put whatever you think that you'll spend monthly. Now, your role in the company, again, owner. Then you'll enter personal information, it'll pretty much be the exact same as your business. First name, last name, your name on the card. You'll enter your home address. That should be the same as the business. You can just check that, right? And then you'll enter your cell phone number, your social, your date of birth, your total annual income that you make from your job. If you do have non-taxable annual income, you can enter that here too. And then you can choose where to send it. For you, your business and your home is the exact same thing, right? Then you'll read the terms and conditions. And of course, you'll see the introductory rate for the APR, then the standard variable APR, and then you can see if you're approved. And once again, this will not impact your personal score. It can potentially impact your business credit score, but again, you're a sole prop. You don't have any business credit. All right, next bank that we're looking at is Wells Fargo, and this is going to be the Signify Business Cash Card. You get 2% unlimited cash back. There's no annual fee. There's 12 months of 0% APR. You also earn $500 when you spend $5,000 in purchases in the first 3 months of account opening. So then let's click on apply now. Now, if you have a relationship with Wells Fargo, you can actually pre-fill with your Wells Fargo account information. If not, you can enter your legal business name, again, first name, last name, your preferred business name, which should be your first name and last name, your business address, which is your personal, and then we're going to get down to, because everything will be the same, all your personal information. You will then enter sole proprietorship. That is your legal structure. Check my business doesn't have an EIN. Then you can enter your description. What do you do for business? Do you sell things online that, a reseller? Are you doing hair? Are you mowing lawns, lawn care? Whatever the case may be, you enter that here. Then you enter the location of your headquarters. It should be the United States. Then you enter the location of your business activity, should be in the US. Date established, whenever you started providing these services. What is your gross annual revenue? Put the projection of how much you normally make, your number of employees, your estimated monthly spend, and then once again, your personal info. First name, last name, you're going to be owner, your social, date of birth, mobile number, your email. Your home address will be the same as your business address. Are you affiliated with a financial institution? Of course, you should not be. And then terms and conditions. All right. Same thing. Very, very easy. You have read and you agree, and then you click submit. That is done. Now, I do have an entire video on the Signify credit card. And just for clarification, every card that we just talked about, I have individual videos on each card where I go over the data points of when I was approved. You guys can check those videos out. They're in the business credit repair playlist. But, again, I have one on the Signify card. I have one on the Chase card. I have one on the American Express Blue Cash business card. All right. And last, we are looking at usbank.com. Now, if you scroll down, there are a lot of US Bank credit cards here. But the one that I want to talk to you about today is going to be the US Bank Business Shield Visa card. This is a card that I just released a video on, and you can enjoy 0% APR for 12 billing cycles. That is the main selling point of this card. And if you click on apply now, it's going to be very similar to all of our previous cards. Now, for this one, you'll enter your first name, your last name, your mobile number, as well as your email address. Once you enter in that information, it'll ask you for your business structure. Once again, we select sole proprietor, doing business as name. If you don't have one, then it's just your first name, last name last name as you would like it to appear. Country that your business was formed, that should be the US. The year that you started, that should be whenever you started operating your business or any type of service where you were actually getting paid outside of your job. Your business phone number should be your number, and then the gross revenue before deductions. What is your total revenue for the previous fiscal year? Once again, you can put a projection or put whatever you made last year for those services that you're providing. Now, once you enter that information, it's going to ask for your business address. Again, that's going to be the same as your personal address. And then you're going to enter your business industry. That's going to, again, be whatever you do for your business. So I saw something about an RV. Doesn't really matter what you put. It just has to be the same as your business. Like for me, media distribution, social network. Like if you did content where you actually had videos like on, let's say, TikTok, and you got paid as an affiliate and you made money. Well, this would be your NACE code right here. media, streaming, distribution services. That's just a very simple example. But again, it doesn't always have to fit perfect. Just find the one that best fits what you're currently doing for your business. And then from that point, you'll provide your date of birth, your social, your address, which will be the same as the business address because it is the same, and then your personal income. And then you'll get to business ownership type. That's going to be, of course, owner right here or proprietor. That's going to be your category. And then if you want an employee card, usually you can skip this. Most people don't want an employee card, especially for a sole proprietorship. And then it'll go over your billing option. You can have one bill sent to my business address. And then finally, it'll ask you for balance transfers. Now, if you want to do a balance transfer, that is a totally separate thing. For this video, I'm going to click no and then continue. Now, all the information here will be blocked out, but this is where you're going to review and then you'll finally submit the application. All right, I want to thank you guys so much for watching this video. If this is your first time getting a business credit card, then please drop first in the comments below. I would love to hear about anyone getting approved for their first business credit card prior to watching this. That would be pretty cool. If you do have any questions about the application process or maybe what to expect from actually doing business credit card stacking, then leave that in the comments below as well. I'd be more than happy to answer that question. And again, don't forget to check out my business credit repair playlist. If you want specific data points or guidance on any of these credit cards, I have a video on every single card that we talked about today. So just know that there is a place for you to go and get more information if you would like. As always, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I truly appreciate it, and you all have a wonderful day.